September 16, 2025. Board members are present here at the Tallahassee Room in City Hall, along with members of the public. With the assistance of the Communications Department and the Information Technology Department, this meeting is live streamed on the Ethics Board's website, and we are recording it for future reference. There is a delay with online communications, and we should all be patient. As always, we thank those members of the City of Tallahassee for their support. For those attending the meeting online, please make sure your microphone is muted.
We ask the public to email ethics@talgov.com if they wish to speak online on agenda or non-agenda items. Those who have submitted their names will be allowed to speak as scheduled. While the meeting is in progress, please do not speak during the board's discussion. We have set aside 2 places on the agenda for the public to speak. For those who wish to make a public comment, please complete a speaker request form and forward it to the administrative specialist, Ms. Tasker Leverson Green. Be sure to state what you wish to speak about on the form. Public speakers will be given up to 3 minutes in accordance with the board's bylaws. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we will have roll call, please.
Kristen Costa,
Here.
Patrick Kelly,
Here.
Rika Calhoun, Adam Commissar,
Here.
Caroline Clanky, here, Mary Alice David,
Here.
Ryan Smith. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Next, we will have approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look at them? Any questions or concerns? If not, I would entertain a motion.
So move.
Okay, it's been moved. Any seconds?
I'll second.
Great, thank you. So we have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Is there any public comment on agenda items?
No.
Okay. So then we will move on to our ethics office report.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Floyd.
Madam Chair. Each month, we schedule 1 or 2 training sessions for new employees. However, because of the requirement that everyone complete an ethics training to receive the cost of living increase, we delivered additional trainings online and in person, especially for firefighters and for new law enforcement officers. We prepare meeting materials for today's meetings. We spoke to city official to acquire assistance in delivering the ethics guide to all city employees. We chose this time of year to coincide with completion of the annual ethics training. We're still in the process of getting that done. We spoke with the city director to acquire assistance in placing the campaign contribution refund program brochure that we put one in their notebook. It's on that table right there, but you've seen it before. We updated it for this year, and but the information from that should be in the utility bill, everybody's utility bill next month. Process of doing that. We printed 500 of these brochures. We're providing 50 to start for each candidate. We've already, before we even started that process, we actually received 5 requests for refunds. So we have one candidate that has shared it in their publication, so people are responding to it. So it shows some promise. We may break out a record of.
I know. I was like,
We can hope. And we responded to inquiries and maintain our administrative functions as required. With regard to the budget, turn to it. We see the list of expenditures there. The cell phone as usual, clothesline and t-shirts about 40, somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 a piece. And this is the one we're wearing today. You saw the green ones last time, and that's it. We have these two shirts, so. That's where we are at this point. With those, we continue using the, software for voiceovers. We still find that useful. And, legal services for John, and then the cost for the 500 brochures was $269. And that's total expenditures for the last period. If you go to the next page and look at the budget itself, you see our balance as of last week was $112,000. I estimate that it will be, I'm guessing somewhere around 88,000 when all is said and done after we get through this month. We have a good cushion for our budget. I think every year it's been between 80 and 90,000. So we have a good cushion for our budget. Any questions about the budget or expenditures concerns?
I've got a question.
Sure.
When do we roll over? When do we do our budget?
It ends, the fiscal year ends this month.
Okay,
So the new fiscal year is October 1st.
okay,
And so we will, sometime next month, we'll get final numbers, and they won't really be final numbers. They won't have those until December, but it'll be close enough for us to have a picture. And that's what we'll put in the annual report.
okay. One of the items that I see here is the diversity and inclusion expenses. And I didn't know if that's something we wanted to continue going forward. I think there's a push to not fund those.
Yeah,
That's what I-
yeah, and what the city is doing is more in line, because there's still things like harassment,
Mhm.
training, and discrimination against people my age and
Mhm.
stuff. So they're still trying to protect us. So
Yeah.
that's just, they haven't changed the label,
Mhm.
but that's kind of stuff that they're doing.
And just as a recap, it is a use it or lose it, basically. It's not that it rolls
Right.
into next year's,
Correct.
correct? If we have a surplus, it goes back in the
Right.
general pot.
Right, it goes back to the citizens, so to speak, because we're not spending, we're saving where the rest of the city might not be. So,
But it doesn't hurt us as far as when they're looking at it, they don't then dock our budget for the next year thinking, oh, they didn't need that much.
no, I don't think they even pay attention to our budget. They
Me
say,
too.
to them, it's not much.
No, we're fiscally responsible, so.
I'm not waking them up.
Thank you.
Sure. Monthly issue tracking, we didn't have any sworn complaint. And really, we had one complaint that we referred to others. And they may or may not take action. That's why I put confidential. And then on the other, it was actually someone I knew, and they just called me to ask questions. One of them was whether it was reasonable for the city to put a 3 days notice on a meeting that was important to them. And I explained the law and how ambiguous it is, and exactly what it says. And I was very candid with them and told them that the city is well aware of the laws and they know how to operate within the law. And so, all was good.
Were they advised with respect to the Attorney General's guidance that 72 hours is sufficient notice for?
I didn't tell them that. I just told them, and I can't quote it now, but I quoted the statute where it generally says, and I'm paraphrasing now, that you have to give reasonable amount of time.
That's not even paraphrasing, that's quoted.
Yeah, but that's what I told them. Yeah. I know a little bit. Thank you, John. You're a good teacher. And that is, I believe that's the report.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Next, we have our general update. Mr. Floyd again.
For general updates, the ethics guide and campaign contribution refund I've already talked about. Tomorrow, I'm catching a plane, going to Nashville to take advanced investigative training. Attorney Calhoun is probably in Nashville now. The conference that she told me about, they sponsor investigative training. It's a compliance and ethics conference. So I signed up at the last minute. I'll fly out tomorrow, take the class Thursday and Friday, come home on Saturday. So that meets one of the goals of the strategic plans and one of my personal goals. So this is advanced investigative training. So it was exactly what I was looking for. So I appreciate that Attorney Calhoun mentioned that to me. We were able to take advantage of it.
Is this the Society for Corporate Compliance and Ethics, the
Yes.
SCP?
Yes.
That will be informationally intensive.
Well, I'm excited about going, and I registered to become a member so I could take advantage of other training. So
Yes.
it was a good tip.
All right, next we have advisory opinion. This one is from the fire department, and though it appears the same as the last one, it's actually quite different. So it's beneficial that they requested an advisory opinion. So
When this came to us, I think we at first thought it was dealing with a not-for-profit, but it apparently is a camp that is housed within the fire department, which made the opinion a lot easier to reach. But there's this camp that's currently in its second year, Camp Ignite. It is for girls and young women aged 14 to 21 who are interested in pursuing a career in firefighting. They bring them in, they give them hands-on experience and try to teach them leadership skills and kind of show them what real firefighters do. Last year, they received donations from private businesses. This year, they want to take a more active role and reach out to businesses to solicit funds. So I think they did. I think they saw our last opinion. They said, "Oh, we better make sure we're doing this correctly." So because it is not a private organization like the last gentleman saw it, and this is within the city, much different animal. It wasn't a doing business with issue with the state ethics code, but we looked at it more as a misuse of public position. We stated that it would not be a violation. However, we do say that they should take additional steps to ensure that there is not even a perception that they're putting any pressure on people to donate. I think at the top of page 3, we talk about neutral scripts or written requests, kind of a top-down approach to make sure that the language is uniform and that it shows there's no coercion or pressure whatsoever. So that is the opinion that we have this month.
are there any questions for Mr. Reed about this? Yes, Ms.
I
Davis.
didn't have a question, but I was thinking maybe it would be, maybe we could add a sentence on page 2, under the Tallahassee Code of Ordinances, on the second paragraph down, it says the facts presented here differ significantly. And as I was reading it for the first time, I thought, oh, well, what were the differences? So that's why I wanted to go back and see the other opinion. And I think if you just said it, because there's not money involved, it's not a private business, it's not a firefighter trying to do his own business on the side. Because to me, the fact that this is part of what the firefighters are saying, this is your regular duties, I'm assigning you this job, I think that makes it easier. I mean, I agree with the answers. I would just like to see.
So I think, so the paragraph that starts the facts presented here, we say CAO 2025-01, and we could maybe do a do a quick blurb saying what that opinion was, the private business,
And there's
et
no money
cetera.
involved, and that it's part of their duties.
Yeah, money went to the business as opposed to going straight to the city. I could make some points if the board wants to give me the discretion to just boil that last opinion down to one sentence and put it in parentheses right after the citation, we could do that.
Everyone in agreement for that? Okay.
Good.
Right. With that, may we approve it today with that little addendum? Okay.
Like,
So,
Just a comment
Yeah.
on, I really agree with what as David said. Going back to that last one, it just, if somebody's looking at both of these, I think know
Bless
if
you.
anybody ever watches this. We weren't saying they can't do the business. Like when you read that, the wearing of the Tallahassee uniform really didn't seem to add anything to your basketball camp that's going to be firefighter themed. So I don't think I don't know. I just don't want somebody to think that we said you couldn't run a firefighter themed basketball camp. That was a question about, can you run a firefighter themed basketball camp and wear your Tallahassee City uniform and credentials while you do it? So I don't really see from a business standpoint how the Tallahassee aspect of it was really going to help whatever it may be. So just from a business perspective, I just wanted to note that we weren't saying they couldn't do that. It was just you couldn't do that while you're using. And then I really agree that this seems to make the distinction very well.
That being said, any other questions or comments about ORD number 28?
Good job, John.
Indeed. And I think, just from my own personal perspective, I think that the sentence, the solicitations will be made under the supervisory authorization. That sentence really clearly defines this opinion as being confined to the facts wherein public resources and public positions are being used for a public purpose, as opposed to the prior opinion, which looked at use of a public uniform and other resources and position authority for a private corporation. And I think the addition of that parenthetical explanation will further crystallize that. Because we're reading it as attorneys and, you know, making it as clear as possible to members of the public for whom these opinions are written, I think is part of our job. Not one that, as an attorney myself, I'm not always as clear as could be. And so I think the exercise of further clarification would be a benefit. But I think it's as written is an excellent job.
All right. No other questions, then I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and
Second.
seconded by Chief Kelly and Ms. David. All those in favor of approving this advisory opinion with the parentheses explanation added, say aye.
I
All opposed? Thank you very much for your work on this.
And one last footnote. Kristen and I are not reading it as attorneys. That's good.
Good balance.
Next, we have our training assessment. The staff has identified an instrument that they can use to assess the training and provide quality feedback, which was what we were talking about some previously at our last meeting. Mr. Floyd.
Thank you. This will be brief. Just wanted to update you. Section 2-1 of the City of Tallahassee ordinance requires an evaluation of the ethics training and that it be included in the annual report. A training assessment has been a missing component of the board's ethics training program. We noted another program within the city that used to be called diversity and inclusion, collecting ample data from which they could assess their training. We, meaning Tasker, conducted a review online and then met with the other department to explore the possibility of adopting their method. With that, we will be administering a pre and post test online, which will enable us to assess the effectiveness of the training and evaluate it for continuous improvement. And we'll begin this with the new fiscal year. And that will only be for new training. For the annual, training of new employees, for the annual training that's required, online training that's done on the learning management system. I haven't looked at it yet, but we should be able to collect data from the learning management system that will allow us to do the same thing. And part of what I'll be looking at there is set up so everybody passes, but they have to get 80%. So they just keep answering the questions till they get the 80%. And to me, that's a way for them to learn. But when I assess it, I'll look to see if they got 80% the first time, second time. We can see how effective we are in that regard. So those things we're doing to better evaluate our training.
So the training assessment is, did they at least within a certain amount of time after training retain the information? Not that they not commit unethical acts.
No, no. And you know, from when they started and knew, and they had a blank sheet of paper to where they gone through training, they developed an understanding of what they were taught.
And one question, is it one that, since there are questions at the end, can you fast forward and just go straight to the questions out of curiosity? Because if that's the case, I was gonna say, don't beat yourself up too much if they don't get a 80% on the first time, because there are some of those kind of required courses that all throughout life that you can just tap, 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 get to the end, try and take your quiz.
Everything we're doing, they won't see it until they get to the end.
Okay.
So.
They don't exist in the healthcare
Oh.
industry.
Next, we have our annual report. So we're at item 10. Today, we get our first look at the annual report. The final version will be ready in October. This is the board's chance to review the draft and give feedback. And I do highly encourage you to do so, whether it's just reading through, making sure there aren't any grammatical, spell check, out of order stuff that, you know, you sometimes read with your brain, but that somebody else doesn't see. And also check your little section, make sure everything looks good, that you're happy with your picture. This is your chance.
Yeah, picture, your bio, you get one chance to change it unless you're John.
I will email you a new headshot.
Okay.
No, but we thought your picture looked good.
I just got a new one. That's very old.
Oh, you want one after you got married?
Don't change.
We can do that. And I'm gonna walk through it, but I'm gonna do it real quick. And you see the front page, you see the table of contents. We've already put something in there, and comments from the chair and comments from the ethics officer, and you'll see they're both reflected and forward-thinking. If you have any concerns, questions, comments, you can email me and let me know. After that, summary about us, mission statement, core values, and then the board members, you all, with your pictures and your bios as you've submitted them. This time, John only gets a third of a page. When he in the past, he had a whole page. But we had to fix that. But we have the staff there, then a summary of strategic plan. We'll be able to add this advisory opinion, the one you just approved, to do this document. We do quite a bit of ethics training, so we have a lot of information on ethics training, a lot of pictures, and we try to capture those. We summarize what we're doing with the campaign contribution refund program with a good amount of detail. Talk a little bit about ethics complaints and the impact of 1714. And we talked about that at the beginning. One of the things that's mentioned in there, when speaking with, and I won't name the city, but when speaking with another ethics, with ethics commission, they were saying they've had to hire more investigators because they're now receiving more complaints because of the legislative change. People seem to be more emboldened to try to get away with stuff. So there's one city where they have more cases. What I'm starting to see, and eventually you'll see it. I'll share it with you. So starting to see cases where I might have opened an investigation, but I can't. And so the best that we can do is talk to leadership and say, would you address this? That's what it's going to come down to. So we're starting to see that now. So we talk about that just a little bit, and then you'll have the budget, fiscal responsibility. And on the next to the last page, we say, if you see something, say something. We're going to put that in the start. So, and I think this was our best report yet from a content perspective because it's more of a report than it has been in the past. Now that I have help, I can do more than just fill in stuff, or we can. So. But any questions or comments at this point, said you can email me if you have.
I had an inquiry about where and if there is a searchable database of our previously issued advisory opinions,
It's not,
where it resides.
it's on our webpage.
I looked for it, and maybe that's information that could be included on page 14 for the benefit of the public in case they want to.
Okay, you should, because when you go right to our first page, there are tabs, and one of them is advisory opinion. And you open that, and they're listed by year. And under year, there's, I think it might be by type of complaint. So, it's not searchable. We could try to get the city to do that. I think that's a good idea. So Tasker will look into that.
And perhaps, just a clause, even adding a clause that all of which, previously issued advisory opinions are available for, as public records at no expense, at blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Would be helpful. I couldn't, out in the wild, cite to it with particular. But this is a good repository because we're making this annual report a resource guide, just making it as specific as possible in light of the question in the interim. I think it could be beneficial.
Okay, we could do that. Then y'all come up with something really good.
Next, we have our strategic plan. Last month, the board asked Mr. Floyd and the staff to revise the strategic plan to include measurable goals. They brought it back for us to review this evening, and we can ask for further revisions or today.
You see, and I almost have nightmares over measurable objectives. When I was at the FDLE, law enforcement and corrections training, we wrote hundreds and hundreds of objectives. And people even argued over basic stuff, subject, verb, degree, all that. But anyway, I actually enjoyed doing this, and I thought it would really help to illuminate our responsibilities and what our challenges are in the fiscal year. And it also made me look at some things like the ethics guide. I said we'd send it out every 3 years, but then I looked at it and said, instead of doing that, we'll make sure everybody gets it the first time, and then we'll make sure every new employee gets it. And that way everybody will at least see it once. So, make those kind of modifications. But this was actually fun. Excuse me.
Like the addition of the measurable goals, I do think that it will also help us to be productive and conscientious in the future to see were these things that were attainable or did we underachieve? Did we overachieve? And then adjust that as needed because it may help us see where we actually need more insight. Because obviously putting the measurable goals in there, some is with your experience so far, but also with things you'd like to attain. And so I think that'll be more helpful, kind of like what we did with the campaign contribution is, saying, okay, well, this was beneficial. This was extra money spent that didn't necessarily come to help us come to fruition with this. So I do like the addition of this because I think we'll be able to be more constructive when we look over this next time.
And I think it speaks to accountability that we're not afraid of holding ourselves accountable.
And sometimes my personality tends to like to rise to that occasion. So if nothing else, it's another gentle push for self-motivation to accomplish these two. Any questions about the strategic plan? Any thoughts? Is everyone okay? Has everyone had a chance to look at the objectives? Are we okay with approving this tonight? Or would everyone like a little more time to look over them?
A chance to look over. I have a question about the establish a vetted list of external investigator resources. When to use outside assistance when there's 3 or more active cases, has that been a problem before? Is that
I've,
like
it's been a,
a
it's been,
volume thing that you
it's-
need?
it's good to have it if you need it.
Uh-huh.
I haven't had to use that and it's just in case thing. I have used outside assistance. Once I used it when we investigated the guy who inspected my house while I was doing work on it. But there were other times when had multiple cases
Mhm.
and I acquired outside help. So this is just to identify where my outside help may come from if we need it.
Okay.
Or if something gets close to home, it's nice to know that we have somebody that it's not last minute trying to find someone. We've already kind of sought out who might be helpful to utilize.
But they're not taking over your job as
Oh,
the
no.
ethics. They're just giving you input.
Yeah,
They're
well,
giving you data input.
well, they
whatever you
would, they
need.
would actually investigate it for us.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, I think we've done that a couple of times.
Mhm.
They investigated for us. We draw conclusions from what they investigate and
Okay,
present that
perfect.
to the board.
That was what I
Yeah,
wanted to hear.
yeah, they do the fact finding, but we draw
Make the
conclusions.
All right, everyone feels comfortable. We could pass this today. So if nobody has any questions.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second?
Okay, Chief Kelly, motion, and Ms. Clanky seconds to approve the strategic plan with the new addition of the measurable goals. All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much for doing that. I think it looks really great. Next, we have request for position upgrade and pay increase. Mr. Floyd is asking for this position upgrade and pay increase, not for himself, but for Ms. Laverson Green, and he is asking for fair compensation for her and to better position the staff to perform the duties required. We know that, and I'm sure he's going to go into this some, but we know that this position has evolved quite a bit since she has taken on the role from what it was originally previously. So this is all in line with that, and Mr. Floyd's going to explain some of that.
Thank you. When this board was put in place, the executive director was also the ethics officer, which is still the case. And then there was an administrative specialist, two part-time. In that part-time position, basically, it was almost like doing secretarial work, procurement stuff and just, like I said, administrative stuff. When the person at that time was retiring, I saw it as an opportunity to move toward upgrading the position. Officially, I did not change the job description, but internally I did. And I hired with that in mind. And I let them know when I was hired then what the expectation would be. If you look at my job description, which is on page 5, you see it's very broad. I think they threw the dump truck in there. And we're not a large organization, so I'm okay with it. If you were to look at Miami-Dade, you would see an executive director, you would see investigators, you would see advocacy people. I think they have something like 28 people on their staff, and they do a lot more, but you see a true tree. When you look at our tree, and I made an example of it, but when you look at our chart, I have dual responsibilities. Tasker has dual responsibilities, and we cover everything. And that's okay because we're enough staff to do it. But I needed to raise the level, her skill level, so that it would relieve me so that I could focus more on things like advisory opinions, understanding voting conflicts, just a lot of the legal material. I could spend more time doing homework, learning, because I can't always call John and say, John, give me an answer to this, I need to be able to respond to people myself, and I do. But it just takes some of the load off of me. Right now, Tasker is writing a course, and I'm assisting her. She's usually assisting me. I'm assisting her. Tomorrow, when I go to Nashville, she's teaching the class in my stead. And I'm fully confident. And to do that, she's had to learn the standards and the basics. And, you know, the expectation is that she'll continue to grow. You know, I sent her to Toastmasters to work on public speaking skills, and not so much as a weakness, but just to strengthen. And that's something I did myself. And we're looking at her taking courses at Florida State. I actually have a daughter who does instructional systems design, and she's better at it than I am. And she works for an international corporation. And it's funny because when she was growing up, she thought what I was doing was fake. That's what she said. And she wasn't inspired by me. Wasn't doing it because I did it. She just kind of slipped into it naturally and learned what it was. And she took classes, and she never took the OFSU program. You know, I've been exposed to it. And frankly, what we found is people who have PhDs and master's degrees, a lot of times they struggle because they know it academically. And they get stuck in the academic processes, but in the real world, it doesn't work like that. Tasker has been a natural at working with both the curriculum and working with the um, brochure, the ethics guide, annual report. I'm the fill-in guy, but she designs those, she organizes those. They look like they look because of her. And even the courses look like they look because of her. And so she's already picked up a lot of load. And you heard evaluation. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it, but she has when she works hard. If you see me working hard, she will not sit down until I sit down. And so part of this is to compensate her for expanded duties, whether we change the title or not, to compensate her for the professional duties, which in one sense are more important than the administrative function. We can do those together. And the other is to upgrade the position so that in the future, should task her for any reason, she says she's never going to leave the city, but if for any reason you have to replace her, you have that position in place and that expectation of what the position should do, and which would complement the ethics officer. If you'll note on her job description, it says this is administrative professional work assisting the ethics officer in discharging the duties and responsibilities of Tallahassee Independent Ethics Board. If you look at the ethics officer's description, it says this responsible full-time position directing the City of Tallahassee Ethics Office under the exclusive jurisdiction, the position is responsible for discharging the responsibilities of the Independent Ethics Board. So it's more than the clerical work that it's starting off to be. The best example I can give is when I started, the annual report was a 2-page memo, as opposed to what it is today. The ethics guide, it was extensive, but much different. We've been able to improve each year because of what we've been able, in large part, to do with her position. And you've seen that I continue to grow, you'll continue to grow. So I'm asking that let me say that one of the things I looked at in coming up with requesting $33 an hour, I went to Indeed. I don't know if you're all familiar with Indeed. but I went there and looked to see what corporations were paying locally. And it ranged from $32 to $62. Now, she ain't ready for the $62. And, but, I think the $33 an hour is fair compensation. I'm asking that it be retroactive back to September 6th so that when they do the salary increase, she'll get the salary increase on top of 33%. And I think that'll be a good place to start. And after that, she's on her own. But that is what I am requesting. Therefore, the staff recommends that the board approve the proposed upgrade of administrative assistant two position to ethics training coordinator, reflecting the expanded scope of responsibilities and professional contribution. This upgrade includes an incumbent pay adjustment to $33 per hour effective September 6, 2025. And I forgot to say that I have been working with personnel to make sure we do this right. So, and I was going to be stingy and not include the 4% on top of it, but folks in the city, I've said I was being stingy and that they do this all the time. So I'm just doing it the way they do it. Any questions, concerns? That's
Question, so if we approved also the ethics training coordinator change of name, do you anticipate needing, and not necessarily this year, because in reading the essential duties, but do you anticipate needing an administrative assistant to add in the future that was truly just administrative assistant doing more, I'm going to say just the clerical, because it wasn't doing as much? Do you see needing a third person, like with the vision?
No,
Okay.
no.
So this position would still be able to encompass both aspects of the job.
Yes, yes.
And I was thinking that too. And having a strong training and development background, doing training consulting in private and public sector for years, I don't think 33 is enough. I think 34 would be more appropriate. And I don't know if I have the right to say that, but I just, I know that she's underpaid compared to her private sector contemporaries, and in Tallahassee, definitely across the country. So I don't know if that shocks this board to say that. I don't know if that's my place to say it, but I don't think $34 an hour is too high at all. That's what, $40 more a week.
Yeah, she won't complain.
So I don't know what the rest of the board says. I'm on board 100%, but I say it should be $34.
Any other questions or?
Motion. You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I want to make a motion to amend the dollar per hour increase to $34 instead of 33. Otherwise, I'm on board with all the other language.
Okay, so there is a motion to approve the proposed upgrade for Ms. Tasker Leverson Green from Administrative Assistant 2 to the position of Ethics Training Coordinator with expanded scope of responsibilities and professional contributions at $34 an hour effective September 6, 2025. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Chief Kelly has made a motion and Mr. Commissar has seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. You opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
All you do.
I've seen her work, and I also know she is doing the job of two people right now. She really is. And so if we really were
That
to
was
take
my question.
take
yes.
this out, and we had to hire somebody new, not only would we be paying them salary, we'd be paying them benefits. So I think for $1 more per hour, we're getting a great bargain.
Thank you.
All right, next we have the ethics officer evaluation. So this is a review of Mr. Floyd's annual evaluation that we filled out. Each of us has already submitted our comments and agrees that he meets expectations, with some commenting that he exceeds expectations. Before Mr. Floyd comments, do any of the board members wish to say anything additional?
I think Dwight's great. I don't know how else to summarize it. He's approachable. He's on top of things. When you call him, he usually answers the phone. He doesn't have, you don't respond by leaving a voicemail, and I've seen, I think the only one more senior on the board than me is you. And in the short time I've been here, because it seems short to me, I've seen exponential improvements in everything from our annual report to the way you guys look in your shirts today. I can't say enough about him, and, and that's on top of the fact that I've known him for years, and every capacity I've seen him, and he excels. He makes the board better, makes our jobs easy. Something I'd like to add for the public record.
Any other comments that weren't already commented in the evaluation?
I would say thank you for that evaluation. My thoughts are when I go to do interviews, I have make sure I say what's in my brain and not what's in my heart. Because that might get me in trouble. Because I am committed to a government, other people, by the people, for the people. That's why I keep saying it. And I really do believe that's what ethics is about. So this is an ideal job for me. So thank you.
And one other comment, I don't know if any of you noticed when you were looking at this evaluation system. This is not profanity, but it sucks. And the reason it does is it says delivers what is expected or does not deliver what is expected. It doesn't allow you to say exceeds what is expected, and he does. He exceeds them. Most evaluations I've ever seen may give you 3, opportunities or 5 opportunities, but he definitely exceeds, and we don't have the opportunity to make that clear when you read this, other than in our narrative. But it's just a very poor evaluation. Did you develop it, Dwight?
Is this the instructional design we have to look for?
As long as you guys are happy, I'm happy. I am very proud of this board. I think I've seen different boards. I've seen people not work well together. And especially think about it, you have attorneys here, and then you have non-attorneys, and the non-attorneys are leading the board.
Yeah.
And and everybody compliments each other. And that doesn't always happen. So, we're fortunate, all 3 of us. Because don't forget John Boy. All 3 of us are very fortunate. And if you ever becomes chair, then you'll really know what it's like behind the scenes. She does. We're happy.
All right, next, is there any public comment on non-agenda items? Okay. Directives, 2 that I took with 1 for the board. Please make sure you read the annual report, and if you have any suggestions or revisions, to get them to Mr. Floyd or Ms. Leverson Green, to make the adjustments before it goes to print. And then the suggestion was to see about making the advisory opinions more searchable. That's what I got. Any other directives that anyone else thought of that I missed?
One thing I may have missed along the way is we addressed it today, but how do we address your pay?
My pay is good. Trust me.
All right.
I'm happy you're happy.
My pay is good. Thank you.
I'll be Dwight's agent. He cannot represent himself.
All right, being said, we will adjourn at 4:50.